everyone, welcome to another video. So if you've not been on my channel before, my name's Emma, this is my fiance Ewan, and I usually do videos on my own talking about my animals and books I'm reading and occasionally some beauty content. So today I'm joined by the lovely Ewan here because we are going to have a chat about what to expect with a puppy in the first 3 months. If you've been watching the vlogs, you'll know that recently me and Ewan got a Labrador puppy. So we got him just before the new year. It was like the 28th of December, I believe. And he was almost 9 weeks old when we picked him up. And it is obviously now middle of February, so he's 3.5 months. So what I've decided to do is do a couple of videos of what to expect in like the first 3 months, and then the next stage and maybe up to a year, something like that. I'm going to provide you with some information, what to think about when you're looking to source a puppy, and then what happens when he comes home, and just other various bits and bobs you might need to sort out when he first joins the family. And then me and you will have a little chat about how we found the last 3 months. If you've seen the vlogs, pretty chaotic. So what I'll do is I will start off with the what kind of things to look at when sourcing a puppy. So I've got some notes in front of me here. So if you see me looking down at all, that is why I'm doing that. Just because I want to make sure I get all the information across that I want to. Also, Pupper is over there currently destroying something, but we've decided whatever it is, we're just gonna let it go, because it keeps him occupied. So again, our eyes might dart away from the camera depending on what he's trying to wreck. The joys of a puppy, which we will get to later. So the first step of getting a dog obviously is sourcing the breeder, if you're going to go down the route of buying a dog. Obviously you can adopt as well. That's something that me and Ewan both thought about and would have liked to have done, but because we live in a flat and we don't have an enclosed garden and we have other pets, namely the guinea pigs, in the house, we are not considered suitable for a lot of the dogs that were available for adoption over the course of last year. I checked out the various local shelters quite a lot, and basically if you didn't have a house with a fenced in garden, most of them wouldn't look at you, which was quite unfortunate. So because of that, we decided to look for breeders because that was the only option available to us if we wanted to have a dog. Anyway, so keeping an eye on what little monster is doing. He may decide to join us, but he may not. So we decided to start sourcing breeders. We went for a Labrador puppy because I've had the most experience with labs. So when you're looking for a breeder for a puppy, there are a lot of things you need to kind of keep in mind. You need to kind of make sure that you're going with a reputable breeder. There's a lot of puppy farming and things going on, and please excuse the noise in the background. There's a lot of bad practices basically with breeding, especially in times like now. So obviously with the pandemic going on and everyone working from home, the demand for dogs has gone up quite highly. So there are a lot of other people, there are a lot of breeders sort of taking advantage of this to kind of make some money off of it, which is obviously not a very good sign. You're wanting to make sure you're going for a breeder that really cares about where their animals are going, and they care about the health of their breeding dogs, so they're passing on all the best traits, etc. If you're going to find a breeder, a good way of doing that is to go through sort of kennel club registries. So in the UK, there's the Kennel Club website, and you can go in there and find Kennel Club approved breeders. Doesn't guarantee everything you might like it to. It doesn't kind of stand for as much as it used to, but it's definitely better than just sourcing them off Gumtree or things like that, which is obviously not the most responsible. Someone's found a squeaky toy.
Two squeaky toys.
2 squeaky toys. Anyway, so that's a good way of finding some names. You should have a conversation with the breeder. They should want to get to know you a little bit. They should want to find out about what your situation's like, your experience with dogs, all that stuff. Most breeders will want to have the option of taking the pup back if your circumstances change. So that is kind of a good thing to note as well. Oh. You're joining us, are you, Sir Kanan? Are you joining us? Are you joining us? You little rascal! Okay, I'm gonna stay with your squirrel. Okay. So yeah, when you're having your discussions with the breeder, you want to be able to meet preferably both mum and dad of the breeding pair. If not dad, then definitely mum. So you can kind of get an idea of the dam and you know, you want to know as much about the sire as well as you can. A reputable breeder will care about their line and they'll want to tell you this information. A lot of breeders will put a lot of time and money into making their line as good as possible. So a breeder that wants to tell you a lot about the effort they've put into their dogs, it's a good sign. You want to know how many litters mum has had. You definitely don't want to be taking puppies from a dog that's had several litters. I think more than about 4. And you're kind of maybe getting into sketchy territory there. It takes a lot of energy, obviously, for a mum to do, for a dam to go through the breeding process. So they shouldn't be overbreeding their animals. It's not a very good sign. And you know the age of the mum should really be between sort of 1 and 8 years old. You're not wanting an older what dog's really older than that, and anything younger than that is definitely irresponsible breeding. So you're obviously wanting to avoid things like that as well. So you really need to have a good open chat with the breeder and find out as much as you can about the animals that they're choosing to breed. It's got a lot of important things that go into it. Obviously they're going to want to do health testing, so you should really make sure that there's health testing been done on your dog. Depending on the breed, sorry, I'm playing with a squirrel here. Depending on the breed of dog, you know, they have different conditions that they might be predisposed to. So Labradors are more predisposed to things like cancer and hip dysplasia. You know, that your hips and elbows are the most important thing, you know, you want them tested for. So he had all of his parents had all of their testing done, and I was given all those documentation. And I was given all those documents so that I could check them myself. So that was good. So I got all the pedigree information from both mum and dad. Yes. Off you go. The breeder we went with gave us lots of different information about both of the dogs involved, so that was really, really good. So like I said, we got lots of pedigree information. I think our pedigree went back about 5 generations. The more information you can get, the better, really, is the way I look at it. Ewan's off to take Pupper out for a bathroom break, so he will be returning shortly. Yeah, your breeder should be willing to discuss any health issues, any concerns that you might have. When we went to see Kanan, we were told that he had an umbilical hernia, which is basically a small hernia at the site of the umbilical cord, and that is a very minor condition. They had him vet checked, and basically what happens with that is it will usually go away as they grow older. It'll just kind of seal up by itself, and if it doesn't, you can get it fixed. If you're getting your dog neutered, it's often kind of done at the same time. So like I say, that was information given from the breeder and their vet, and then when I took him to get a health check with my vet, they confirmed the same information, so that was all very good. But had they disagreed and said that this was more severe, then obviously you want to be able to go back to your breeder and talk to them and be like, actually, this is a bigger problem. And the breeder in question that we used did say, if your vet disagrees with our vet, let us know. So it was a very kind of open discussion about that. There was no hiding of it. You don't want to take a puppy away and realise that a breeder has kind of misled you about anything. So it's good that they're completely open about everything and we're willing to, you know, kind of discuss the matter with us. A good breeder will usually kind of give their puppies a worming treatment before you bring them home. Because Kanan was 9 weeks, he had his first vaccination. Ewan is back now. Because Kanan was 9 weeks, he did his first vaccination with the breeder. You shouldn't be taking a puppy home any younger than 8 weeks because they need to be with their mom. So you want to know how well socialised your puppy is as well. So obviously they'll have their litter mates to play with to start with usually. You want to know if they've met any other dogs. So with our breeder, they had other family dogs and which were vaccinated. So Kanan had met them, so that was good to know. If you've got young children, you'd want to know if they've been around any children, anything like that. It's just basically making sure that you're taking all the steps to make sure they can fit into your life and you're not just sort of adding in a new member of the family without taking into all the considerations you need. So a good breeder will also usually give you lots of information to take away. So our breeder gave us a kind of a card here of lots of information. So that's it gives you the name of the dam and the sire, the microchip details. It'd be very good if the breeder does this. They don't always do it, but it's a good sign if they've had that done, and then you can get that transferred to yourself. This has the worming information, vaccination information, and the food they've been feeding and the schedule, because when you bring a new pup home, it's a really big change for them. So you want to keep as much of what they're used to the same kind of schedule. So it's not that everything in their life is changing at once. And they should always let you know, what they've done so far, if they've tried any toilet training or anything like that, or if you've been speaking to your breeder in advance, they might start using your puppy's name for you so they can start getting used to their name. It all depends on the situation that you have. Yeah, there's lots of things to think about when you're sourcing a puppy. Like I say, it's always better to get lots of information and see as much of kind of the parents, where they've been, where the breeding sort of taking place. You want to make sure that they're coming from a good place and you're not supporting irresponsible breeding, basically. Not to say you can't get a good dog from a breeder that's not got long lines and genetic testing and things like that. You can get lovely dogs that are not kind of papered that way, but it's trying to save yourself hardship in the future. If you've got a breeder that is testing for really nasty diseases, then hopefully they won't be passed down to the puppies, and you won't have a puppy that's going to suffer in any way, and you won't have horrible decisions and financial problems down the line if anything is to happen. So moving on to when you get your pup home. Our lovely breeder, as many will do, gave us a blanket with his mum's scent on it, because that can usually help them settle for their first night or so, because they've got a familiar smell. You want to get a routine established straight away. Like I said, if you can follow the same routine the breeder has followed, that's easiest, especially at the start. But if you something you need to change to fit in with your own life, obviously that is completely normal. But do all the changes as gradually as possible so pup doesn't get completely overwhelmed. So your routine is just your basics. When pup gets up, in the morning, what time they're going to bed, when they should be getting fed. So, I mean, every breeder does things slightly differently. Ours was feeding 3 times a day. I know when my mum got her puppy recently, I say recently, he's about 10 months now, they were feeding 4 times a day. And then usually that gets reduced down to maybe 2 times a day when they're about 6 months. And then you can go down to once a day as well, although we will probably stay with 2, just... That's what I've always done. Biggest thing obviously to establish is toileting when you get home. So everyone deals with this bit slightly differently. Some people put pads down, puppy pads or newspapers, and just encourage the pup to go on those to start with. For what we did, we made sure that we took them outside after every nap, after every meal, after every play session, after every big drink. You take them out as much as possible. So like basically you want to give your pup all the opportunity to go to the toilet in the right place. So if you're leaving them too long in the house, you're going to have accidents. So, and it's not their fault. You need to think about it as when the pup has an accident in the house, it's your fault, not their fault. They have no bladder control when they first come home. When they need to go, they go where they're standing. So you just need to make sure they have plenty of opportunity to be outside and go to the toilet. Kanan, obviously being a Labrador, Labradors are notoriously easier to toilet train than some breeds. Usually your smaller dogs, your toys, your chihuahuas, things like that, they're notoriously hard to house train. Other dogs can be quite stubborn. I think sometimes sort of Spaniels and Dalmatians, I've got issues with house training. Again, it's all in the breed research you should be doing before you decide which one you'd like to bring into your house, which fits in with you better. But Kanan was mainly house trained within about 2 to 3 weeks, and he had the odd accident going on after that, but I honestly can't remember the last time he had an accident. Now he's really, really good, and he'll whine at the door if he needs to go outside, because he's so used to going outside, he knows that he's not meant to go inside. So it was a tough few weeks at the start, but obviously it's paid off. He was house trained very, very quickly. And yeah, that's the way we chose to do it. Same as in nighttime, so you can decide to crate train your pup, or you can choose not to. A crate might seem like a nasty option. It might not seem very nice, but if you make it comfy for them, it's a secure, safe place they can be while you sleep. and it limits the damage they can do, and it limits if they can get themselves into any bother, if they chew things they shouldn't or get stuck anywhere. It just means you know in the morning they are where you put them and they're safe. Also, if they do toilet during the night, it's in an enclosed space. Most pups don't like to go on their bed. You will get some that do. Kanan definitely had plenty of piddle accidents on his bed, but he would never poo in there. So, and it just took time to kind of got him used to it, and yeah, he won't do it in there now. You can decide to leave your pup in the crate as you sleep and just deal with any mess in the morning. I know plenty of people that just let their dogs mess during the night and clean it up in the morning, and eventually they will grow out of that behaviour. Or you can set alarms and take them out. So most puppies can hold a pee in for about for an hour per month of their age. I think that's how it goes. So what we did is we started off setting an alarm about every 2 hours during the night, and we took him out for a pee. Even if he was sleeping, we woke him up and took him out for a pee. And then we extended that, just going by, if he was really in a deep sleep when we were waking him up, and we'd be like, okay, we'll maybe push it by half an hour. And then if there was an accident, we would have taken it back down. So we just went from sort of 2 hours to 2.5 to 3 to 4. And as he got older, we got to know how long he could go, basically, but based on how long he was sleeping during the day. And during waking hours, he was at the start peeing every 20 to 30 minutes. And then, like I say, this moved to sort of every 45, and then it was into every hour. And now he's about every hour, hour and a half he needs to go outside, when he's awake anyway. But yeah, following the routine of...
Manages 5.5 hours at night, isn't it?
Yeah, so now he manages about 5.5 hours at night. So that's quite good. So at least we can get a pretty good sleep. We don't set alarms anymore. He wakes us up to go outside now, which is really good. He didn't do that before. He didn't whine to go out for a pee when we first got him, but my mum's pup did. So they're all different. So some will want to let you know they need to go outside for the toilet. Others take a little bit longer. And like I say, we can now get a good 5.5 hours sleep before he needs up. And when he does, he pees and poos and goes back to sleep. We don't let him get up for the day, or get us up for the day till after 6:30, 7 o'clock. Because realistically, if you start getting up with them really early, they just think that's normal. So he gets out for the toilet and he goes back in his crate and he goes straight back to sleep because he now knows that's the routine. To start with, he would cry when you put him back in, but you just have to, as long as he's got everything he needs in there, and you know he's been to the toilet, etc., there's no reason why he wouldn't settle, and he would always settle within 5-10 minutes. And now, like I say, he's usually back to sleep snoring before we're even back in bed. So that's kind of settled in fine. It can be tough that first little while, definitely a lot of interrupted sleep, but we like the way that we did it. It worked for us because we got to control at the start when we were getting up. We kind of knew what times it would wake us up, would make us most tired the next day, if that makes sense, so we could avoid that. When you're bringing your puppy out for a pee during the night, no interaction, no playing, no speaking to them. You take them straight outside, they go to the toilet, you praise them and you take them back inside, but you shouldn't let them think it's time to get up or time to have fun. It's just toilet break. So, one of the best things about having a puppy is that they're super playful, and you can have a lot of fun with having a puppy. Kanan loves to be played with. He wants playtime all the time, and he absolutely loves it. So puppies that have a lot of energy, when they're very young, they sleep a lot, so they can sleep anything between sort of 18 to 20 hours a day. But they should always be really lively and active while they're awake. If they're not, then that could be a sign of a problem and you should get that checked out. But yeah, they love playtime, but then will often be high energy and then completely fall asleep because they've just run out of puff. That's all totally normal. Kanan, now that he's 3.5 months, he definitely doesn't sleep anywhere near as much as he used to, and he can play for a lot longer than he used to as well. Me and you take turns occupying said pooch because, like I say, he would play for hours if you let him. When when you're starting to take out for walks and things, they say it should only be about 5 minutes per month. I would say some people stick to that very, very strictly. We definitely extended it slightly. When I say slightly, I mean a couple of minutes more than he should have, nothing crazy, because he wanted more. When they're puppies, they often don't want to go for a walk, so they might just sit down and get confused. They're not ready to go. When Kanan started going for walks, he just wanted to keep on going. He didn't want to stop. So we let him go a little bit longer than he needed to, and also that meant he got more sleep. He would sleep when he came back and he would be more sort of fulfilled with his day, but you can't overdo it because obviously their joints are still growing, so you need to make sure they're not putting too much pressure on their joints. You need to kind of make sure you're not overdoing it. And like I say, there's sort of a 5 minute rule per month up to about a year of life. Some say longer, some say not. It's kind of your own decision how you decide to follow that rule. But as with all things, you'll get some people who are very opinionated on the matter. So the next thing you need to kind of be aware of is obviously when you get your new pup, you'll need to get a vet. So you need to take them for a health check very soon after you get them to make sure that there's no issues that you should be aware of. You'll need to obviously get kind of, like I say, an idea of if they're healthy, if their weight's good, if their teeth's good. They'll usually check if they've got kind of an overbite or an underbite or anything like that. So with Kanan, his lower jaw is slightly slower developing than his upper jaw. It's quite common, but that's something they'll keep an eye on. Going back to good breeders, they will often like updates on how the first vet check went. So we give that to our breeder and he was happy to hear that all had gone well. We'll have to discuss a vaccination schedule with your vet. Our puppy had his first vaccination done at another vet practice and they were using an older regime of vaccination than what our new vet recommended. So we had the choice of going with the old regimen or the new regimen, and we decided in for a penny we would just go with the new one, and it would cover him. It was an extra vaccination that covered him against another strain of leptospirosis, which is quite rare in the UK, but it is becoming more prevalent. So we decided just to make sure he was vaccinated against everything basically. But like I say, every vet will give you different advice, and you should be going to a vet that you trust, kind of following their advice. If you don't trust what they're saying, then you're not with the right vet. After you get your vaccinations done with your pup, it'll usually move on to annual boosters, but again your vet will advise you on what's best for your area or what's expected, etc. Things you can also chat to your vet about. You should bring up any concerns that you have. Like obviously we got Kanan's umbilical hernia checked and that was fine. I wanted to make sure he was of a good weight because I don't want him to be overweight. Again, that was good. You should check what kind of wormers and sort of tick and flea treatments that they recommend. So we're going to go with the one that our vet recommends, which is Bravecto. So that's, again, something to chat about. You just want to make sure there's a very good open communication with your vet, and so you know you're doing all the right things for your pup, because they're just little. They have kind of a weaker immune system. They're more susceptible to picking up all kinds of bugs. They've always got something in their mouth they shouldn't have. So it's always good to kind of make sure you know as much as you can about what you can do for them. Making sure you've got a good relationship with your vet is very important. Something that's not required, but is usually people do go with, is insurance. So you don't have to insure your dog, at least you don't have to in the UK. I'm not sure about other areas. But we chose to go ahead with insurance. Basically, if you can cover the cost of any issue or surgery your dog possibly going to have, then there's no reason to pay into an insurance company if you don't want to. But obviously the costs for any kind of surgeries with dogs can often go into the thousands, so we're not in the position to be able to pay for that. So like my horse, he has got an insurance policy, and you got to make sure you go with a good company. There's often lots of companies that will offer you quite cheap premiums, but then it comes to payout and things can sometimes get messy. So going with someone well known is often the best course of action. Your vet will often have a recommendation of who they find easy to deal with. So that is something to take into consideration. You don't want to be paying into an insurance premium and then have them not want to pay out at the end of it. So that would be really unfortunate. Like I mentioned before, Kanan had a microchip when we picked him up, and I think it's law for dogs to have a microchip now, isn't it?
I think so.
I think it is. I'm not sure, depending on your area, that might change. But you should really get one put into your dog just in case. It's a good way of being able to track them down if they ever get away from you. So yeah, that was done by our breeder. So when you buy your puppy, there are sort of different documents you need to change into your name. We had to transfer ownership from sort of the Kennel Club registration into our name. We had to transfer the microchip into our name, things like that. So that's something you'll need to sit and do and get all those things organised. It was all fairly easy, but it's always good to get that done fairly sharpish. So that's all the information side of things of getting a puppy. And now Ewan here, who's been super quiet through most of that, he's just been letting me ramble on. We're going to have a chat over kind of what our experience has been over the last 3 months and any other tips and tricks we could think of to give a new puppy owner. So if you've been watching any of the vlogs that have had Kanan in them, you've probably noticed that I couldn't finish a sentence. I had to nip away for bathroom breaks or stop him destroying something or stop him doing countless things. Puppies are into everything. They are super curious, they're super playful, and they're often super destructive. Can you confirm?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kanan has so far destroyed a lampshade. He's chewed some of our wooden furniture. He's destroyed 2 pairs of my pajama bottoms, and 2 pairs of leggings have been destroyed by his super sharp teeth. A doorstop has been destroyed. Is there anything else that he's wrecked so far? Oh, the underside of Ewan's computer chair has been savaged. He got hold of the curtains earlier, and now there's a bit of repair work that needs to go on there. Basically, he chews everything. He's obsessed with shoes. He steals our shoes. Yeah, he's obsessed with shoes. I've got a little suitcase that I use as like a footstool from working from home, and he chews that as well. I don't so much mind that. It's pretty solid, so he can chew that till his heart's content. It's not going to cause it any damage. Like I said, shoes he's after all the time. He's after the remote control. He's after pretty much anything he can get his paws on. And I mean anything. He's had plugs, he's had headphones, he's had wires. He's chewed through
ribbons.
Yep, I've got ribbons hanging up, and he's managed to climb up on a table and get those down. And he chewed through the Xbox controller, so that's ruined. It wasn't plugged in or anything, so he didn't hurt himself. But he managed to get into that. We had to replace our bin because he kept managing to get into our bins, so we had to get one that was closable, like a metal one that he couldn't get into. Our bookshelves we had to secure away because he was adamant he was destroying our classics collection. I'm probably forgetting things. He chews everything, and I mean everything. We've got furniture, we've got spray. You can get like a bitter apple spray, an anti sort of chew spray to put on things. It does deter him for maybe an hour, and then whatever one we've got's not that strong, obviously, and he's back. So we have to spray that quite a lot. As he grows, he's now able to reach other things. He can jump on our little coffee tables, which we try and stop him doing, but he does it anyway. He can now reach up things on the kitchen countertop, so we can't have anything near the edges because he can get into that as well. Basically, he's a devil. He is a little devil, and he basically needs watched all the time. And if he's being quiet, that's suspicious. Unless he's sleeping, that's okay. But if he's not sleeping, you know he's got something he shouldn't have. I said at the start of the video, he was off chewing something. I think it was some sort of letter or document over there, and I decided just to let it go because I'd rather get the video filmed, but I'll have to go and figure out what on earth he just ate over there. Yeah, sometimes it's a case of you just pick your battles because they chew so much. And there's certain things obviously you've got to be stricter on. Everyone deals with it a little bit differently. But yeah, chewing, definitely an issue. We've got a little daytime pen for him, so if we ever have to leave the house, he goes in there, again, for his own safety and for the safety of the rest of the stuff in the house. We're in a rented flat, so we don't really want him wrecking everything because we're just going to have to pay for it all when we leave because half of this furniture is not ours. Thankfully, we've got a very forgiving landlady. So there's that. Something else is biting. I used to be on quite a lot of sort of dog groups on Facebook. I've unfollowed quite a lot of them recently just because the comments of things were so toxic, and I just was like, this is not fun. But I couldn't believe how much comments there were about biting and puppies and biting, and is this normal, is this aggressive? Because puppies bite a lot, right?
Yeah.
We are covered in bite marks. Our legs, our arms, our stomachs. Like, he bites all the time. And obviously, puppy teeth are needle sharp, so it really hurts. And as he's getting older, his jaws are getting stronger. So he's not only got the super sharp teeth, but now he's got jaw strength to match with it. So if he gets a hold of you, holy cow, it hurts. It really hurts. Like, I scream. It hurts. And unfortunately, it's just something that all puppies do, and you need to really be aware of the fact they will probably draw blood regularly. And it's not a sign of aggression. It doesn't mean they're nasty dogs. It doesn't mean they're going to have a problem when they're older. They're just babies, and they're teething, and it hurts. So I can't remember off the top of my head what the teething stages are, but they first lose their incisors, their teeth kind of at the front, bottom and top. They lose them first. He's already lost 4, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. They then lose their canines and grow in new ones, which are duller, thankfully. And then last of all is their molars at the back. That's when they're a little bit older. Each stage of the teething process essentially gets more uncomfortable for them. So the chewing and the biting gets worse during their teething because they're in pain and they're trying to alleviate the pressure in their mouth. We've actually got a teething gel for him because sometimes his biting is so bad. There's things you can do. You can kind of ice cubes. We've Star Wars geeks here. We've got a little ice ball maker in like the shape of a Death Star. So he gets these little ice balls to play with, and he loves those. You can freeze toys, wet them and freeze them, and let them chew on those. They really like things that are cold for teething issues. But yeah. Be prepared. If you're going to get a puppy, you're going to get bitten a lot. And like I say, it can be soul destroying. Honestly, you can be sitting here and he can be totally lovely 1 second, and then he decides to turn and snap onto you like a little crocodile. And you're just like, where did that come from? Why did he do that? It can be kind of like, oh my God, what is wrong with my dog? And they snarl and they lunge at you, and it looks really aggressive. But he's not, like, Kanan's not an aggressive dog. He's not going to be aggressive. He's just learning the boundaries. And he's a little monkey. He's an absolute little monkey. If you heard the swear words and names he got called on a day-to-day basis, I edit them out my vlogs because otherwise it would turn the air blue. He gets called a lot. Because he's a monster. He is a complete monster, but it's perfectly normal, so it'll pass. It's definitely a tough stage the first 3 months, would you say? Yeah. Especially now. I think the last month maybe has been getting worse for his biting and chewing, but the sleeping and toileting issues are less, but the biting and chewing is taking over, and that is not fun.
Is good.
Huh?
No, the sleep is good.
Being able to sleep is good. You know, me and Ewan, we have a very chilled out relationship. We don't argue, except when we're traveling and one of us is reading a map and can't read a map. Anyway, we don't argue. And in the first little while of having Kanan, we've been arguing and we've been bickering, and it's because we are tired. We are tired and we are bitten and we are sore, and we just... Oh my God, it turns your life upside down. It's like having a baby. I think people often think having a dog's easier than having a baby. An adult dog, sure. Puppy, no. It is a toddler with piranha teeth. They are just as much work. They demand your attention all the time. You need to watch them all the time.
Kanan's mommy's boy.
yeah, Kanan's a mummy's boy. So it's often the case with boys. Male dogs often get quite attached to females, and female dogs often get attached to males. So yeah, Kanan is obsessed with me. Kanan has to be wherever I am. He is my shadow. I can't pee alone. I can't get dressed alone. I can't shower alone. Nothing. I sit on the couch and he has to sit on me. Not next to me, on me. On my chest. He wants me to sit and pet him. He wants me to hold his bone.
Use your phone.
If I pick up my phone, he gets jealous and he is a pain in the bum and bites and sits on me and tries to get my phone out of my hand. If I put my phone down, he chills and he's like, okay, I's happy now.
He gets jealous of you when you have guinea pigs? No?
Yeah, we have guinea pigs, and one guinea pig is not bothered by dogs at all, Qui-Gon, mostly through stupidity. I don't think he really knows what a dog is. Yoda is our smart guinea pig, and he is not happy about dogs at all, but they're very used to hearing him pottering about, so they don't get scared of him when they're in their enclosure. They're totally safe. They're in an enclosure that's like most of my height. When we bring them out, if we bring them out when he's sleeping or something, or if I have one on my arms, Kanan isn't bothered when Ewan has one. He's interested. He's like, oh, what you got? But when I've got one, he's most upset because I'm his mummy and he has to be he has to be the favourite. He doesn't want me to be spending time with anybody else. He's very clingy right now. And yeah, hopefully that eases soon. I make sure that I do leave him sometimes because he can't. Yeah, I got the horse sometimes without him. Sometimes he comes with me, but sometimes he gets left here. We're starting to leave him very short times on his own because I don't want him to be clingy to me all the time. But when they're growing, they do kind of go through these daft phases. They can go through phases where they're scared of everything. They can go through phases where they're really bullshit. They can go through phases where they like or dislike certain things or certain people. They are a lot of work. And I feel like, especially in times like COVID, when people are like at home and they're like, oh, I've always wanted a dog, let's get a dog. I know it sounds bad coming from us who've got a dog during the pandemic, but we always planned on getting a dog. This was not a COVID decision. This was a decision a long time in the making. So we just wanted to be in a bit more of a financially stable situation before we got a dog. And obviously now we've been together quite a while. But anyway, a lot of people will get a dog and not have a clue how much they destroy, bite, shed, all these things. And I think people will get overwhelmed by this puppy stage quite easily. Like I say, going from comments I've seen on other group sites, a lot of people have no idea how to handle the biting and all the other destructive behaviours, you know. And it's always the same kind of thing. You've just got to distract them, give them a different toy, you can give them timeouts. There's things you can do, like you would do with babies and toddlers and things like that. It doesn't always work. It is a bit soul destroying. Sometimes you go to bed and it's the happiest you've been all day because you can finally have a minute alone. That's definitely me. I started going to bed early, leaving the boys up a little bit later so I could actually have half an hour by myself before I lost consciousness. Yeah, it's very, very tiring. It takes a lot out of you. And I think it'll be super rewarding once he's older. I certainly can't wait until he is a little bit more mature. But I've always been more into dogs than puppies. I love puppies. They're very, very cute. But I like it better once they're an older dog and they know their stuff and they're just your companion, and that's awesome. At least the puppy stage doesn't last that long, so that's fine. I'm hoping you found this video helpful. We were hoping to have said puppy here. Might insert a picture or something. We were hoping to have said puppy here, but he was being a toe rag, so we let him go over there. We're happy for him to vacate the area, quite frankly. So, yeah. Hope you found it helpful. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Also, just bear in mind, everybody does things with dogs a little bit differently. It's the same with other animals. It's the same with kids. Everyone's got their own opinion. So, you know, if I do something that you don't agree with yourself or do it differently, just everyone has their different opinion on the way they would like to do things. Like I say, if you want to have any more conversations or comments, leave them down below and I will get back to you. And like I say, hope it was helpful. If you're planning on getting a puppy soon, or if you're experiencing any issues with puppies, I'm hoping to do another update maybe once he's about 6 months old, because it's sort of different set of issues once they're at the next stage of development, basically. So yeah, we will leave it there. I've talked a whole lot. Ewan's not talked all that much, but we're not really shocked about that because he's the quiet one and I'm the loud one. So that's kind of standard. So yeah, if you would like to see some more videos from me that'll see Kanan in the vlogs and things like that, watching him get older, then please subscribe to see the vlogs that he is in most of the time, and any other content that you might like to see. So I will leave you there and hopefully see you in another video very soon. Bye!